Hello YouTube, I figured I would do a short form video instead of those long restoration or long ones I've been doing. So the story here is that I got a set of the KEF 104 2 speakers and from a friend and did some swapping and so on. And it was quite clear that the woofers were no good, right? When you look at them visually, they usually have these bad donut dust caps, right? So instead, if you're familiar with these already, you know what I'm talking about. If not, these are mounted facing each other. Well, no, sorry, facing away from each other, but in tandem with each other in the box. And there's actually an aluminum rod that joins one to the other. And because of that, they have kept what would normally be the dust cap area. They've kind of made a cylinder going through it so that these mounting bolts and the rod can touch from one magnet to the other. Basically, the magnets are a very set distance from each other, rigidly fastened, right? So it's common that those inner suspension pieces rot away, and people replace them because they are originally a foam, right? And often, but not all of the time, people have to replace the rotten outer part as well. Now in this case, clearly these have been done already because we see a little bit of sloppiness on the glue work. That's not factory work. And someone has put a bit of a doping glaze on the cone, which I'm not happy about. But what they've definitely not done is they've definitely not repaired the original dust cap donuts, right? So I'm kind of picking away at it here. And the problem is that down in here, the voice coil to magnet gap seems to have not just debris from these deteriorated dust caps, but also seems to be a bit of oxidation in there as well. If you look around the perimeter of this magnet plug here, that white crusty look is oxidation of the metal. And who knows, maybe it's some kind of mildew because you're seeing white gunk up here as well. But anyway, the point is that all four woofers are making scratchy sound when you move them, right? And they were actually very stiff. At first I thought the voice coils were seized up because moving them, here's the sound. It's not horrible. And of course, on a woofer or any speaker driver, you're never supposed to have that crustiness, right? So it's clear to me that there is debris in the gaps, or there is some oxidation on the wall of the magnet plug that is effectively closing the gap and forming friction. So on the first set here, I kind of dealt with these individually. I had such a bad, well, again, they're all bad, but I thought that I would have to tear these cones out and completely do I thought I was going to have to completely tear out the cones and do reconing, which I was kind of sad about because I don't know how accurate the aftermarket options are compared to the originals. Even though these have been messed with a bit, at least it's the original voice coil and spider and all that, and the compliance is the original thing. So I was very sad about that, and I was all prepared initially just to do the dust cap donut replacements, but then I had to get into this voice coil issue. So I took two of these out, and what I decided to do is I decided to run them on a signal generator into an amp setup, which I'll hook up now. And I was just kind of making a little video demoing that, and I noticed that while I was running these woofers on the signal generator, they were actually clearing up. The sound was getting clearer and clearer. So I said, What if I run them on a signal generator at 60 hertz, 100 hertz, something nice and low, get a big excursion going like this? Would that actually allow me to vacuum out and hold them face down and vacuum them so that the debris would come out, right? So I started to do that, and they've started playing the test tone perfectly clearly, right? Perfect, clear sound, no distortion, no voice coil rubbing, right? So I kept at it, and I got to the point where I would run it onto the on the signal generator, and I was also sticking some pieces of paper, like I was cutting little pieces of paper like this, and sticking them down into the voice coil and magnet gap while it was running. And it just kept getting clearer and clearer. In other words, this being in the voice coil gap, these pieces of paper, the strips of paper, different thicknesses, could kind of rub off the oxidation that's building up on the inside of the magnet wall. And it seems to have worked, because a pair of these now, if I run them on the signal generator, they are playing absolutely clean, right? These two, right? So I'm going to continue on this dirty set, and we're going to monitor how quickly we can demonstrate the cleaning up of that voice coil. And this is one of the first simple but weird things I've done. So this here is this, and it's a plastic spacer, and it's meant to basically create the elevation between the voice coil magnet itself, the magnet plug, and create a sort of elevated surface that's concentric for the donuts to mount onto. So this is not a moving part, this is fixed to the magnet, right? So I need to remove them so I can put the vacuum in there and push some pieces of paper in there and so on. So what I did was I put these in my bench vise, just any sort of vise that would hold the magnet without securely. And this is literally a broomstick, 1-inch diameter broomstick, and I stick it in there and I push, and that breaks the glue joint, and that's it. Pull that out, because this may be an epoxy or super glue type thing, right? So that's how I got that out. So that's out of the way. So now I can vacuum and treat in there. The next thing is hooking up a signal generator. I think it's set to 100 hertz right now, and through a little Class D amp, and I'm going to hook this up, and you're going to see a very heavy excursion of 100 hertz. I'm just putting this piece of paper so you can look at it dance around in case you can't actually see the excursion of the cone. And I'm just going to alligator clip over on the left here. Right, so what that is doing is heavy vibration of the cone and voice coil, and you can see debris in there. And what I'm going to do is basically that's what I've been doing to run it while I'm cleaning it, right? And sorry, I'm fumbling with the camera here. And I used different frequencies. I went down to 50 and I went up to 200, and that is further out of the bandwidth range than this speaker usually sees, because the crossover specs for these are that the woofers I think they do 55 to 150 hertz before they're crossed over. to the mid-range. So if I go from 50 to 200, we're actually exercising through all of the usable frequencies. Let's go again a little bit. So basically running this while running the vacuum and running this while pushing some paper down inside. Actually, let me do that. Let me demonstrate me pushing some paper in while this is running. That kind of thing I'm hoping could help me to sort of smear the outside of the magnet plug and clear the walls of that oxidation. So that's basically my demo of what I'm doing. These are running perfectly clearly now. Let's have a listen. Let's see if we can actually hear. I don't know how it will come through by the time you get to the sound on YouTube and so on, but this is playing a very clean, undistorted 100 hertz. So I will continue with this until I'm confident that I've cleaned out that magnet to voice coil gap, and then I will get to putting back these things, and when those are securely dry, I get into the method of gluing these back on. Now there's probably numerous videos online on YouTube and so on of an instructional posts of people putting these donuts back on because it's so common to replace them. But I figured I'd do one of rescuing noisy voice coils. Okay, so I hope that is useful and interesting, and that's it. Maybe I'll make another video when I get these all up and running. I did not do a KEF 104 restoration video. I'm just trying here to do the interesting technical challenge within that. Okay, thanks again.